Hello everyone, this is Chaser Channel. My name is Kirill and we talk about watches here. Today we have an entirely new series from Casio, unlike any other, GA-V01. It was released back in February 2025, initially in China, but apparently it was so popular that Casio decided to distribute it worldwide. And it has only just reached Russia. New color versions have already been announced, but for now there are only 4. Black, purple, gray and acid green, or maybe even yellow. We'll look at all 4 today, and all 4 are available in our store chasterclub.com. Links will be in the description. Indeed, G-Shock really surprised us this time. A design unlike anything else, it even seems somewhat toy-like, and the colors and execution as well. But in any case, we'll try to look at all this impartially. Let's start with the outer case. It looks unusual, but the construction itself is not new. That is, it is made in such a way that the strap is integrated into the case, and essentially this is both the bezel and the case. We saw this in several previous series, particularly in the latest GBA-950, which has a similar design. Here, firstly, the buttons are interestingly made, 4 pieces, secondly, these side protrusions, and here they protect against impacts, falls, and of course the hour markers, which are raised above. They are above the glass, not on the dial as usual. The glass is mineral, spherical, but as you understand, maximally protected from side impacts, influences, falls. But it is on these protrusions, on these hour markers, that the main impact will of course occur if you bump the watch against something and so on. Under the glass is the dial. The dial has an interesting dual electronic display resembling a butterfly, probably, I think so. And judging by the renders, they were inspired by some unusual monster. Initially, the models were released in China in February, but apparently they appealed to the public so much, at least from the photos, that they are now sold worldwide. Here, the color schemes, as you can see, are quite vibrant, especially the salad green, even acidic, and purple. There's also an interesting gray metallic. And some kind of texture is also peculiar. Either glossy or matte or sandblasted. In general, they combined everything in the world, unusual, but these 2 bright ones look somewhat childish. However, here we see the hands, which are also of an unusual shape. They dilute the overall design. That is, here they are orange, here bluish, and essentially underneath them hides that very inverse display. Of course, it reads poorly with the camera. In person, it reads more or less well, especially considering the numbers are large. Right now, there's the date, August, the day, and seconds. You can display them as desired. So here we have the city. You can view the current city as desired. Here we have the duplication of the analog time and seconds, or also the day of the week. That is 3 modes. In general, the functionality here is as standard as possible. Such a G-Shock classic. That is, it's world time. It's a stopwatch with 0.01 accuracy and measurement up to 24 hours. These large numbers are still convenient to read. So we have the backlight. Next, a countdown timer, by seconds by the way, not by minutes, which is nice, with measurement up to 24 hours, 5 alarms and an hourly signal. Here everything is standard, meaning for those who have ever dealt with G-Shock, this functionality will be absolutely no surprise. Everything here is as familiar and understandable as possible. Among the advantages, such specific advantages, I would highlight the 10-year battery. They decided not to install a solar battery here, but added a 10-year battery, which is essentially equivalent. That is, you won't have to worry about changing the battery, that it will run out and so on. No, 10 years is a very solid period, so here you can only be happy about such a decision. We see that at the tips of the hands there are small dots with luminescent material, which are barely visible in the dark. However, the illumination, let's not forget, it activates here between 6 and 7 o'clock and brightly lights up the dial. Each pixel is red. Here, of course, there are no questions. This is how this wonder looks on the wrist. Well, peculiar, not for conservatives. Of course, it looks very bright, even the black color, it would seem, yes. And now we're going to try on the acid purple. It's probably going to be something else entirely. Height 49.1 millimeters, width 58.2 millimeters, thickness 19.6 millimeters. No comments needed here. You all understand perfectly well from these numbers. Massive, very massive, yet light. Polymer material weighing only 74 grams, so on the wrist you could say it's almost not felt at all. Double holes, there are many of them here. Length from almost 14 to almost 21.5 centimeters. Overall, they fit quite well. That is, there is a sense of reliability, they don't wobble. So overall, in terms of ergonomics, I wouldn't say it's a complete disaster. No, everything is thought out quite well here ergonomically. Yes, indeed, two bright shades, lime and purple, look summery, very playful. Grey, well, it's for fashionistas. Of course, these are options for kids, options for those who want to stand out in their style. For everyday use, well, I don't know. It's up to you. Very bright, very eye-catching models, so definitely pay attention to that. What conclusion can be drawn from this series? Well, I always like it when Casio, when G-Shock releases something new, fresh, something unlike anything else. How it turns out is another question. Of course, hand on heart, naturally, I will never buy these models for myself. They don't suit me at all. I think, like many of you, it's for enthusiasts. This is exactly the kind of option that will either strike a chord in the soul or not be liked at all. I think there won't be indifferent people here. But for kids it's just right, because surely many will like these bright shades, unusual shapes. So you can show them to your child and maybe they'll want to ask you for one of these models. Otherwise it's a standard G-Shock. That is shockproof, waterproof. So there are no questions about reliability. Battery lasts 10 years. Excellent. Отлично. Well, the functionality, it's standard here. Stopwatch, timer and so on. Readability might be lacking both in the hands and the dials. But here it's more about style, design, not readability. This should also be understood. Well, and at the store chasterclub.com we have these models available. So if you or your kids suddenly want something like this, follow the links in the description. In the end, I'd like to know your opinion, which model you like the most. Be sure to write about it in the comments. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. That's all. Goodbye, everyone.